It's simply the best source for objective reporting and thoughtful analysis of the week's business news. From international trade to personal finance, they get the full story in our pages every week. And that brings me to your subscription to Business Week. Whether you've already arrived or on the way up, you should subscribe to Business Week right now. You will be in excellent company.
Now is the time to subscribe to Business Week, because right now you're bright. It's all the business news you need every week, the kind of value real success is built on. And with your paid subscription, Business Week will send you the compact data bank, absolutely free. The data bank is more than a calculator. It also stores all your important phone numbers and doubles as a digital clock. Remember, it's free with your paid subscription to Business Week. Here's how to subscribe.
Subscribe today and get all the week's business news delivered to your home or office. Just call 1-800-841-0300, and we'll send you 28 issues of Business Week for only $24.95. That's just 89 cents an issue. This low rate saves you $45 off the cover price. The data bank is free with your paid subscription. That number again is 1-800-841-0300. Call now.
I'm Carl Reuter along with Coach Joe Gardi, and welcome to the Hofstra Football Show. And Coach, 48-28, New Hampshire over Hofstra. Hofstra suffering its first loss of the season, but that game was a lot closer than the final score indicated.
Absolutely, Carl. I'm very proud of our young men. I think that most people felt that this would be a complete blowout, maybe 50-0, 60-0. You're talking about a 60 scholarship school, New Hampshire, versus no scholarships for Hofstra. We're excited about the fact that we were in the game. The score doesn't indicate how close it was. I think that at halftime, had we gotten a break on a punt that we recovered for a fumble, the score could have been 14-7 at that time, and it was just exciting the way our young men never gave up towards the end of the game. And New Hampshire coaching staff and players know that they were in a battle, and I guarantee you our players and our coaches know it.
One thing that you were concerned with that we talked about last week as far as New Hampshire was their speed and their size, and that really came into play in this ball game.
I've been around the game long enough to recognize talent. We saw height, weight, and speed, a definite mismatch, and it really proved to be the case. We could not contain the mismatches, their defensive line against our offensive line. And on the other side of the ball, we couldn't rush the passer, and the quarterback, Matt Griffin, broke all kinds of records. Outstanding talent, outstanding speed.
You mentioned the quarterback. We do have to talk about it. Michael Dodo suffered a broken collarbone. It looks like he's gone for the year.
Carl, I was worried about our young men coming back in body bags, and the first casualty was Michael Dodo in the first series. And I think it's an indication of that mismatch. He was sacked and just drilled to the ground. And, you know, thankfully we had George Beisel come in and do a great job, but George got so banged up, he deserves a Purple Heart, Medal of Honor, and whatever else you can give him.
All right, let's take a look at the highlights in this one. That New Hampshire did win by the score of 48-28, and the trip up to New Hampshire, Joe, you said you were excited. The leaves would be changing colors up there, and both teams ready for battle. But Matt Griffin, you mentioned him, the quarterback, he went right up top to David Gamble. 61-yard pass play. New Hampshire had a 7-0 lead.
Carl, young man that we think a lot of, Varick Boyd, was really, as our players call it, toasted all game by Griffin and those excellent wide receivers.
George Beisel, who did come in there to 19 yards to Scott Millington, the game was tied at 7.
I don't think they expected this. They were surprised when we came right back and got a score on the board.
And Matt Griffin coming right back again. Coach John Perry, 15 yards, and New Hampshire led 14-7.
Again, a lot of missed tackles. Varick again, but we think Varick's going to come back this week.
Walt Olshansky got 3 back, 32-yard field goal. After one, Hofstra trailed by the score of 14-10. Second quarter action, Joe. Again, Griffin to Perry, this time 30 yards for the score.
Unbelievable speed by their wide receivers, and I'm really impressed with Griffin. I think he's got to be a pro prospect.
One guy you were impressed with last week, and he showed you why you were impressed, Barry Barroso, the running back, Joe.
Right, these scores were towards the end of the game. If you remember, Carl, we had the onside kick towards the end, and, you know, the game certainly was much closer.
Olshansky answered right there, got 3 back, 28-13. Hofstra trailed at the half. They trail by 12 on another field goal, 28-16. But here's a backbreaker, 86 yards, Joe, coming up. Matt Griffin to Mr. Perry again, 35-16 New Hampshire.
Again, Varick had great coverage. It was a mismatch, a great athlete. Hey, we're happy about Walter Olshansky getting 3 field goals on the board. Walter was struggling the first 2 games.
Had a nice game indeed, Coach. And then talking about nice plays, how about Beisel coming up to Millington, 22 yards, and Hofstra only trailing now 35-22.
Big play. They were really shook up about this. You could feel a momentum swing to us. And then, of course, Mr. Barrasso got loose again.
Second touchdown of the game, and New Hampshire went up by the score of 42-22. Now, the ensuing kickoff, no quitting the Flying Dutchman, no quitting this guy, Mark Cox, 97 yards.
Mark really wanted to go to New Hampshire. I wonder how they feel about him now, because they wouldn't even let him visit and wouldn't even take him as a walk-on. I was so happy. He's a great athlete, a great young man.
Mark got into the end zone 42-28, but then more. Barrasso closing out the scoring. Some great moves coming up, 136 yards on 29 carries.
He's a great athlete. He's got a great chance for pro football.
And that, of course, wrapped up the score in the final there. New Hampshire 42-28 over Hofstra, and your first loss of the season. And, Coach, I mentioned before that you did lose Michael Dodo for the season, but while he was in there, did an outstanding job. Nobody expected this from a freshman.
Absolutely. We're excited that Michael's got 3 more years, and he's just an outstanding young man. I'm sure he'll bounce back.
Did an outstanding job while he was in there, had some good numbers up there, and of course the man that came in, and George has done a good job for you, and I guess he'll be in the fold this week.
Absolutely. He'll be going against Post. One of the things about him, he's played most of that game with a glove on his hand and still kind of just had the stitches out of his right throwing hand.
Again, we have to go back to repetitions and Hofstra being so deep, and these guys can step in when called upon.
We think so, even if we had to go 1 or 2 deeper. We don't have many left, but they'd be ready.
All right, Coach, when we come back, we're going to talk to the jack of all trades for the Hofstra Flying Dutchman, Mark Cox. So stay with us on the Hofstra Football Show.
Got a plane to catch? It's only minutes from New York Helicopter's 34th Street heliport to the airport. Fly economy on over 30 airlines, and it's $25 or less. Free when you fly first or business class on these and many other major airlines, courtesy of your airline. And we check your baggage through to your final destination. Call your airline, travel agent, or New York Helicopter and fly the airline to the airline.
Mets baseball. It's giving your all. It's pushing it right to the edge. And manufacturers Hanover Trust joins in the spirit with the Mets MasterCard. It's like any other MasterCard, only better. Because each time you use it, you enter the Mets MasterCard sweepstakes, where you can win great Mets prizes. So come on, show your colors with the Mets MasterCard. To apply, call 1-800-MHT-METS.
I've always had this idea of what college should be. It's more than books.
More than classrooms. They're important, the most important.
But they're not everything. I wanted a real campus life.
A fuller experience, and I wasn't getting it. So I transferred to Hofstra.
To Hofstra.
To Hofstra.
For information, call 516-HOF-STRA. Hofstra University. We teach success.
Welcome back to the Hofstra Football Show, and all throughout this season you've heard Coach Gardi and I talk about Mark Cox and what a superb job he has done through the course of the season. And the other day against New Hampshire, just another outstanding effort, all-purpose yardage and what he did on kickoff returns. And We figured that since Mark has played so well, Coach Gardi and I would invite him in here. Mark, welcome to the telecast.
Thank you.
Tell us about what it was like to play New Hampshire. Everybody spoke about your first true test of the season going up against a 1AA opponent.
For me, it was a great experience because when I graduated from high school, since I'm a local boy from around there, I wanted to go to school there. But I didn't really think I could play at 1AA talent. So I decided to come to Hofstra, and I think I made the right choice.
Coach, you're happy he made that choice, and he's here.
He sure can play against 1AA competition. We call him, my nickname for him is the franchise. He does everything but sweep up the turf after a game. And we're glad he chose Hofstra, and I think he proved to those folks up in New England that he could play at New Hampshire.
I guess you're going to let him continue to run back kickoffs because in the game against New Hampshire, he broke a few, and he even scored on one for 97 yards. And Mark, what goes through your mind? What was going through your mind on that? Because at that point, did you think the game was pretty much over? Because there was no real quit in this Hofstra team. You busted this one right up the gut.
No, I didn't really think that the game was over at any point. And I was real pumped up because I had a lot of fans there watching me since I'm from around the area. And I just gave it 100%.
You needed 100%.
Coaching here. Who's your special teams coach?
Go ahead. Who is that special teams coach?
Coach Gardi.
Coach Gardi. Joe, you take pride in that, don't you? The special teams.
I sure do. We've had a couple tough weeks with kickoff coverage, but we really rose to the occasion on the kickoff returns in every phase of our kicking game against a truly good opponent in New Hampshire.
Earlier, Coach and I, Mark, talked about the size and the speed of New Hampshire. Did you notice that on the field?
Definitely. They were much bigger and faster than we were. But I think we played up to their talent somewhat. But in the end, they just overcame us.
Do you think Hofstra sent a message to New Hampshire?
Oh, definitely. I'd say down the road, we'll be able to contend with them and beat them.
Coach, on the sidelines, there's a lot of chit-chat that always goes on amongst the two teams. Did you hear any chatter from New Hampshire saying, hey, these guys can play football?
I think they were actually very quiet. They were surprised that we went out and hit like we did, never quit, and made big plays. I really feel from talking to our people who talk to the New Hampshire people that we're definitely, they were surprised. We're definitely in consideration to play them again, probably next year, if not the year after for sure.
You mentioned big plays. Anytime Mark Cox touches the football, you think that he can break it?
There's no question about it. He does everything that you ask him, and we tease him a lot. And I know he doesn't look very big, but he plays like he's about 6'5" and about 260, and he runs like he's about a 4.3 40.
Before I let you go, and we talked about New Hampshire, look ahead a little bit. Tell me what you anticipate from CW Post.
I think it's going to be a real tough game. Going into the game, they have nothing to lose. And this will probably be the last time that we'll play them in the series between the two schools. Right now it's tied at 14-14, and I think they're looking to win the last game and win the series.
But you're looking to win that last game too.
We won't lose.
You won't lose. Coach, it's a guarantee by a player.
I'll tell you, that the way they practiced today, Carl, we're ready, and I guarantee you the tempo was upbeat. And I think we've had a tough practice yesterday because we were beat up a little against New Hampshire. But our young men are ready for CW Post. And I think they're ready for the rest of the season.
If you could build a team, would you take 65 or 70 Mark Coxes?
I told his dad and his grandmother one time after a game, are there any more at home like them? We sure would.
All right, Mark, thanks very much for coming on. Great effort against New Hampshire. Good luck this week against CW Post.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk defense. That's the favorite word of the coach. We'll be joined by Jeff Brown of the Hofstra Flying Dutchman when we return. Stay with us.
For these demanding times, BMW introduces the safest 3 Series ever built, with a near-zero maintenance engine and perfectly balanced handling. The dramatically new 325i. BMW meets the demands of the 90s with its spirit intact.
See the new 325i at DeFeo BMW in Edgewater, New Jersey. Only 5 minutes from the George Washington Bridge adjacent to Fort Lee. Call toll-free 1-800-866-1539.
The Hofstra University campus is one of only 65 in the nation recognized as an arboretum with over 6,000 trees representing over 200 different varieties. The Hofstra Museum, one of only 45 nationally accredited university museums with 40 exhibitions each year. The internationally recognized Hofstra Cultural Center, and over 500 cultural events each year available to students and the public. Hofstra University. We teach success.
Excellent. Excitement and entertainment. All of these are available at the Nassau Coliseum in a new standard of luxury, style, and sophistication. Add great sight lines and convenience to the mix, and you have a winning combination. Private executive suites, the perfect business entertainment vehicle. For the savvy businessman, these suites become an extension of your marketing efforts.
Number 42 Morris, number 22 Whaley for Hofstra. Kick comes to just about the goal line, and it's Morris. So the season is underway for these two clubs. Morris with a burst. Morris with a big burst to the 40, and he's going to go all the way on the opening kickoff. Wayne Morris, 100 yards.
That was the opening game, 1989 versus Pace, the opening kickoff for Wayne Morris, who has the record, as you saw there, when he ran it back, and that was quite a game. And talking about quite some games that have been played, how about the play of Jeff Brown? And Jeff, just an outstanding effort this past week against New Hampshire, playing out of the linebacker spot. When you look at numbers like that, it's unbelievable, unbelievable. And we brought Jeff in here, and Coach, that's the second straight game Jeff had in which he racked up numbers like that as far as tackles go.
We have a tackling point system, and I think he broke a record with 52 points, and he certainly rose to the occasion against a 1AA opponent in New Hampshire and played like he'd been playing 1AA all his life. The amazing thing, the surprise about Jeff, he replaces an All-American in George Tischler. He's done a great job, and we're mighty happy that he is.
Jeff, Coach mentioned that you replaced a guy like George Tischler. Did you feel that pressure coming into this season, that Hofstra had such a great trio of linebackers last year and you had to step up right away?
Well, I mean, I didn't have no pressure. I just thought I could be able to step up and help out the team. I mean, George is a great player, and it's hard to, you know, make up for a player like that. But, you know, I just thought there was not that much pressure, but I'm doing okay.
Talk about your experience playing against the bigger, the faster New Hampshire club from last week.
I mean, they were a great bunch of physical kids. They came off the ball real well as far as the offensive line. They blocked real well, and they had a great running back. And he did well. He did real well against us, but, you know, we tried our hardest.
Were you surprised that he was able to turn the corner? We're talking about Barry Barrasso. Were you surprised that he was able to turn the corner so quickly?
Yeah, he's the quickest back I've ever faced as far as being here at Hofstra and playing against him. He was a great player. He had some sharp. He's a real quick player, and we had trouble when he got around the corner. It was hard to bring him down.
Joe, a lot of people have talked about Jeff's talents, and a lot of people have mentioned the next level, which would be professional football. You've been there before with the New York Jets, of course, a lot of years there. But what do you see in Jeff beyond Hofstra?
Well, one thing last year people have forgotten, Jeff made a big sacrifice, played defensive end for us, had a great year, was very light. He wanted to transition to middle linebacker. I didn't think he could do it personally. We talked about it. He studied very hard. He worked very hard. And right now, he was timed in the 40 by the pro scouts in the spring at 4.55. I think he's got a great opportunity. We don't recruit young men to Hofstra to play pro football, but when they have that kind of talent, I think he's going to really have a great chance, and we're excited for him.
Jeff, everybody dreams about that. I'm sure you're thinking about it. Yes, this is your senior year, and you want to concentrate on the 1991 Flying Dutchman, but your thoughts beyond Hofstra?
Well, I mean, it's everybody's dream as becoming, you know, as when you're a little kid, you'd always dream about it. You see the players on TV all the time. you know, if it turns around and turns out that way, I'm real happy about it. But if it doesn't, I always have my education to back me up.
Talk about the game coming home, 5.5 or 6 hour bus ride. Was it a quiet bus ride home because Hofstra had lost to New Hampshire, your first loss of the season?
You know, it was, we were kind of upset about it because after the second play of the series, we really thought we could play with them, and, you know, we kept up with them, but, you know, we just fell short, and it was quiet. You know,
there was never any quit on the team, though?
No, there wasn't. Everyone was just doing 100%.
Coach, is that something you try to inspire during practice, no matter what the score? We're out on the field, and we're here to represent the university?
I think it's something we've emphasized from day one. You know, we give our force sign in the fourth quarter and say that no one's going to beat us. Well, that happens, but we take that philosophy, and as Jeff said, our young men didn't quit, and we kind of put a real scare in New Hampshire. We can't wait to get them down here.
Jeff, 2 weeks ago, Central Connecticut State on the road. This past week, New Hampshire. This week again on the road again for Hofstra at CW Post. Big local rivalry. How do you size it up?
Well, I mean, it's bragging rights for us. I mean, it's, you know, the Long Island boys, and who's ever, you know, we beat them last year. The series is tied 14-14, and we're just looking forward to it.
Any surprises you think Post might have in store for Hofstra?
Not really. I think we've seen them on film, and they're actually going to tell us what they're actually going to do, so we're looking forward to it.
Coach, a couple of words. How would you assess Jeff Brown as a player, maybe as a person, which is even more important?
Jeff and I have really gotten close. We've been through some battles together. He's a fine young man, and he's what Hofstra football is all about. I love when my football players prove me wrong, and he did last year as a defensive end and proved a lot of people wrong because he was so light, and he's proven the boss wrong this year and just taken that position, and we tease and we say, who is George Tischler? Because we've got Jeff Brown now.
You talked about Tischler, wore that number 34. Jeff Brown doing an outstanding job. Continued success, especially this week against Post. And looking beyond that, well, if it happens, Jeff, we're behind you 100%, and we'll be rooting for you to see if you can make it to the National Football League someday. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more of the Hofstra Football Show, so stay with us.
Get older, they may need higher and higher octane, or they can't perform like they used to. But there is a gasoline specially formulated to control this higher octane need while providing the highest level of engine cleanliness. Texaco System 3. You get great performance in every octane grade.
Still think all gasolines are the same?
The Hofstra University libraries hold over 1.2 million volumes on campus. Only about 5% of all university libraries have this many volumes. The library is completely computerized for everything from acquisition to retrieval and includes a real-time business data bank comparable to the type found at major brokerage houses and available to students and faculty. Hofstra University. We teach success.
Keep pace with fast-paced Devil's Hockey on Sports Channel. Check out the Devils season opener against the Blues on Saturday, October 5th. And follow them all season long, only on Sports Channel.
Welcome back to the Hofstra Football Show, now joined by Cindy Lewis, the Women's Athletic Director here at Hofstra University. And Cindy, this week Eye on Hofstra focuses in on the women's field hockey team, something that's very close to your heart.
It is indeed, because I did coach the field hockey team several years ago, and I also was a participant on Hofstra's team, so I'm very fond of the field hockey program.
All right, and as Cindy said, she's talking about the field hockey program. Let's take a close-up look at the Hofstra women's field hockey team. Hofstra University continues to upgrade its athletic program, and not excluded from these plans are the various women's sports. One such program is the women's field hockey team, a squad laden with true scholar athletes.
Most of my team is on academic scholarships. I have some real high caliber academic students I have one kid who's had a 1,300 on her SATs. She's on the presidential scholarship here at Hofstra. I would say majority of my team is B+ or better students here at the university.
While field hockey receives less attention at the high school level than other women's sports, Coach Carrie Cavasano-Boda, a 1985 Hofstra graduate, needs only to look in her own backyard for quality talent.
It seems to be in the high schools now. Soccer is taking over the fall season. So we're having, coaches are having a problem with recruiting or finding enough schools that have field hockey because of the soccer programs. But Long Island seems to be real successful, and Pennsylvania and New Jersey have real strong field hockey programs.
Hofstra's tough schedule includes some of the top programs in the country, and it provides a great learning experience for the team's future success.
If we don't win those games, we definitely learn a lot from these teams, They're really skilled. Last year we played UNC, who were the year before NCAA champions, and, it's just an experience. Not all teams I wouldn't like to play that good, get blown away all the time, but it's definitely a learning experience, and this way we can take it into other games.
The team is a close-knit group who thrive on competition and possess a strong love for the sport of field hockey.
Everybody's come down here because they really want to play, not so much just because they get paid to be here. Then sometimes I find that it's more, you put more heart into it. More people want to be here, and they work their hardest.
It's a very rough sport, and I chose it due to the fact that there's 11 players out there, and there's no one good player. Everybody has to work as a team. Being part of a team is probably one of the hardest skills, that just interpersonal skill a lot of people have to acquire in life, and I've learned so much being a part of teams.
Most of these girls are really out for the fun of it, and they work real hard, and they just want to be successful.
And part of that success, I guess, is coming off their last game, Cindy, in which they tied.
They played CW Post. They played at Post. They had a very competitive game and went to double overtime. The score ended up 0-0. And always with Post, we have a very close series in games, but it was a very, very skillful game.
Well, I know with you at the helm, the program is only going to continue to rise. And Cindy Lewis, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you very much, Carl.
And as we go to break, we'll take a look at some of last week's scores from the Patriot League. Stay with us.
Got a plane to catch? It's only minutes from New York Helicopter's 34th Street heliport to the airport. Fly economy on over 30 airlines, and it's $25 or less. Free when you fly first or business class on these and many other major airlines, courtesy of your airline. And we check your baggage through to your final destination. Call your airline, travel agent, or New York Helicopter, and fly the airline to the airline.
For these demanding times, BMW introduces the safest 3 Series ever built, with a near-zero maintenance engine and perfectly balanced handling. The dramatically new 325i. BMW meets the demands of the 90s with its spirit intact.
See the new 325i at the Fail BMW in Edgewater, New Jersey. Only 5 minutes from the George Washington Bridge adjacent to Fort Lee. Call toll-free 1-800-866-1539.
Rejoined by Coach Joe Gardi and Joe Saturday, CW Post, Hofstra's next opponent.
Carl, always an exciting battle for the Kings of Long Island, and we're looking forward to it. I've got a great deal of respect for Coach Marshall and those players.
All right, some of those players that you will see offensively, their quarterback, Dean Carino, can throw the football, and he has a favorite receiver, too, number 43, Anthony Pergola.
They hurt us last year with some post patterns down the middle late in the game.
And there's Anthony Pergola taking it into the end zone. Of course, Post lost that game last year to Hofstra, but, you know, Joe, they also have a running attack as well.
You got a young man named Brusca who we love to have had, plus outstanding talent on defense also. Some fine athletes. A lot of them are Division 1A type talent who transferred from other schools. It's going to be a battle.
One of those guys is number 99 for CW Post, Troy Wilkes. He'll be looking to get into your backfield throughout the game.
He spent a lot of time there last year, Carl, and our young men are looking forward to that challenge.
Joe, most people say that this could be the last meeting.
Yeah, that's what they say, and both teams are ready for it, I'm sure.
All right, Coach, and good luck on Saturday, and we'll see you next week back here with Coach Gardi on the Hofstra Football Show. So long, everybody.
Sports Channel in October kicks off a whole new season of non-stop excitement. The opening face-off drops for the Islanders and Devils when they battle the Stanley Cup champion Penguins, Gretzky's Kings, and the expansion San Jose Sharks. Local gridiron rivalries heat up in the Metro College Football Game of the Week. Relive the most memorable games from the last 4 decades on baseball's greatest games. And coming in November, Nets basketball with Rookie of the Year Derek Coleman. Sports Channel this fall. A lot to get excited about.
Hi, I'm Marty Lyon.
And I'm Paul Reuter.
Barry Landers and I will be in the booth covering the best of Metro College football.
And I'll be down on the field bringing you interviews and searching for the story behind the game.
Remember, catch us every weekend this fall, right here on Sports Channel.
Keep pace with fast-paced Devils hockey on Sports Channel.